They say that you're the sum of 5 people you spend the most time with. And if you're not one of them, then whose life are you living anyway? If you're watching this video, then I'm sure at some point in your life you might have felt a sense of loss of direction, or might have come face to face with a feeling that you don't know where you're going anymore. That loss of direction can feel like a huge misalignment between who you think you really are and who you actually have become. I could certainly relate to that. I am a medical graduate and I left medicine. Well, the long answer is for another video, but the short answer is I always wanted more and I wasn't sure if I belonged there. Taking the step of actually leaving that path was far more easier than actually living with it. But one thing was sure, I had decided to live my full, authentic life. Because I knew one thing which I didn't really understand before. You see, if we are to reach a destination, then we need a solid roadmap to reach to that destination. And so we start working hard on getting the right route, asking every other person who has been there before us if we are taking the right path, so focused on reaching there that we forget to check whose route was it in the first place, whose destination was it anyway. We were so determined and focused to reach to that destination that we actually forgot to look it up properly in the first place. That's because we might have given way more credit to an external source than actually decide on our own merit. That destination or path may have been recommended to you by your friends, your family, your colleague, and since you trust them, you obviously went ahead with it. But once you reach there, you realize this was never meant to be your path. You just followed everybody because you didn't know yourself better. You realize that you never want to be here at all because this never was your destination. Call them destinations or choices or whatever it is that you want to. They are sometimes the results of an idea or a notion that has taken root in our mind thanks to all the noise that we consume on a daily basis, all the information that surrounds us, which is not really ours to begin with. Keep taking this path and you'll find that you've ended up in a completely different situation than you had initially set out to. For some people, the journey of self-awareness comes very naturally. You might have noticed how some people are so self-assured as to what they want from life, who they are and what they stand for, that hardly anything can make them doubt themselves and their journey. I call them believers. And then there are non-believers who constantly seek validation from external sources and fail to trust themselves and give themselves a fair chance to actually try out their abilities and talents. Think about it. If you're ever in a situation where you're constantly overwhelmed with judgments, opinions, comments, and criticisms from others, which may not be true, but how will you defend yourself if you don't even understand yourself? Because their comments, their judgments will be the only evaluation that you have of yourself, and so you will rely on it. And once you start doing that, that's a recipe for disaster for your self-esteem. A healthy self-esteem is actually the very foundation for any success story that there is in this world. So I figured that if I wanted to bridge the gap between my dreams and my reality, then I had to get reacquainted with myself again. In my journey for the same, I came up with the conclusion that I was constantly adhering to expectations, both perceived and real. They were not my own. They were the opinions of others that was being impressed upon me. And because I had been snubbing and pushing myself away for so long, I realized I had been denying myself a fair chance to live out my truth. I was too scared of taking any action towards getting whatever it was that actually mattered to me because I didn't want to be ridiculed. And so, time and again, I was disappointing the one person that was actually always going to be there for me, me. And you know what happens when you do that? You lose confidence. You lose confidence in yourself, you lose confidence in your abilities, in your talents, and in your worth. When you're not stable in your sense of identity, and when you don't have enough conviction in yourself, it's very easy to get pulled away in different directions from everyone who, in their own best way, are trying to put you in a box. That was happening with me. So I had to take steps to preserve whatever I thought was left of myself, and I had to take steps to reacquaint myself with the person who I thought I was on the brink of losing. What also helped me was staying aware of my daily reactions to things like my work, the kind of people I was meeting, what kind of actions I was taking in my daily routine, and how that was impacting me and my moods, and what were the situations where I felt the most myself and the most accomplished, and which were the situations that didn't really help me feel that. I was trying to find my internal center point. Your internal center point, I believe, is that feeling when you are the most stable, content, and the most you, without any help from outside sources. I began observing what was tipping my internal center point, what or who was deviating me from the same. To go really in depth, I repeatedly asked myself questions such as, how do I really see myself now and after 1 year? I've stopped asking about what or where I wanted to be in 5 years because I feel like 5 years or 10 years time is a very long duration and it's not realistic, and it has never motivated me to actually look it up again after 5 years or actually take steps to achieve something that is so far away in the future. So every time now I make a to-do list or I make a goal for myself, it's never more than a year, because then I can actually see it through and I can clearly see all the steps and goals that I need to take in order to achieve that. So if you're in this stage of self-introspection, then you can also ask the following. Number one, what qualities do you identify with and what you don't? What do you want from life? What is stopping you from getting there? What are you willing to compromise on? How do you want to be remembered as when you die? What will your contribution to your family would be? And what will your contribution to the world be? What quality or thing makes you dislike you? What makes you proud of yourself? What made you content and happy the most? Which things or moments or work or even people make you feel you? And what situations or things in the past have taken you away from you? I didn't just stop at these questions. Like an obsession, I did some external research as well. I dug deeper and I started talking to my friends, my family, took note of what they thought of me and what they thought my weaknesses and strengths were, and then added it to my own understanding. I even took aptitude tests, personality tests, and I also looked into horoscope and astrology just to try to understand more about myself, and left no stone unturned. Once I had ample information on myself, I compiled it all, narrowed it down, and tracked every trait or quality that I identified and felt most strongly about. This seems like a lot of work, but it's actually not. It won't take you more than 30 minutes to an hour every day if you start now. If you're really sincere about finding yourself. I would really recommend this, and I would really suggest that you become your self-stalker before it's too late and you completely change yourself. After all that reflection, self-introspection, some experimentation, and some denial, I came to fully understand and accept what drove me and what made me, me. I began to see the patterns that linked all back to my why, and finally, my true self. I discovered, among many other things, that one of the times I felt the most myself was when I was utilizing my communication skills. It was either to explain someone a difficult topic, or to speak in front of a large audience, or even to pitch an idea to someone, give a presentation, or even to host an event. I could not ignore the thrill that I got while I was using my communication skills. It came naturally to me, and that's how I quantified as making a difference in someone else's life. I came to the conclusion that this was extremely important to me, and I would really regret losing it if I don't pursue this. And that's one of the reasons I have made this YouTube channel. I also came to realize that for some people, a better living or better finances had been the driving factor behind them, or even the way they measure success was completely different to the way I did. I, on the other hand, had always held a lot of value in being acknowledged or being appreciated alone for an exchange of good work, which had been the single most biggest factor for many of my choices. This was both good and bad. Good as it motivated me to do good work despite the fruit. Bad because I was constantly undervaluing myself and missing out on the opportunities that could have given me both. I also realized working in batches on different projects and assignments was more exciting and truer to my work style than a continuous stretch of endless tasks that had me quit multiple times. This was something I figured I had to change in order to be successful. I also realized that having a balance between all areas of my life, both personal and professional, was extremely crucial to my happiness. I noticed any time that I gave up either of them, I was especially miserable and I did not feel whole as a person. Well, I'm really grateful that I started this process for myself, because this has actually helped me discard all those unhelpful notions and habits that I had been holding on for so long. Those habits and notions that were not letting me go anywhere in life. And letting go of them has actually let me make space for a truer and better version of myself. When you are sure about yourself, you are committed to what matters to you, and therefore committed to the life that you want to see yourself build. This gives you immense clarity. I didn't want to lose this clarity again, so that's why I keep a personal guide on my phone's folder. It's called a self-reintroduction. I see this every morning and whenever I need to during the day, especially when I find myself swaying out of track. This will happen a lot in the beginning, as we have been so used to not taking instructions from ourselves. That's why I wrote down everything I needed to be reminded of myself and the kind of person that I was and I wanted to become. So the very first voice that broadcasts in my head as the day begins is just mine. It helped me not to forget how I wanted to make the most of my day, and then eventually, my life. There is no time better than the present to find the real you. The quicker you get on board this journey, the less chance you'll have of living a life full of regret. As they say, you're the sum of 5 people that you spend the most time with. And if you're not one of them, then whose life are you living anyway? Thanks so much for watching this video, and I really hope it helped. Take care.